What do you want us to do?
Save my life.
The question is, how do we save it? She knows you won't let us go to the police, so we can't threaten her with that. Just what exactly do you want us to do?
Get rid of her.
How?
Kill her.
Hey gang, Uncle Todd here, and we're looking at a TV movie tonight, and it is a star-packed affair. It's called Home for the Holidays. It was made in '72, and it is made for TV. It was written by Joseph Stefano, who adapted Robert Bloch's book Psycho to the screen for Hitchcock, and directed by John Llewellyn Moxey, who is a very prolific director, probably best known for City of the Dead, which starred Christopher Lee, and for The Night Stalker, which starred Darren McGavin and Simon Oakland. And what a cast. We have cast of Oscar winners, Oscar nominees, future Oscar winners, future Emmy winners. I mean, you got Walter Brennan, Julie Harris, Jessica Walters, Sally Field, Elizabeth Parker, and Joe Haworth. All just big names here. And the film starts with all the daughters. Well, one daughter is already there, Alex. She's taking care of her father, or helping to take care of her father. He has a second wife, Elizabeth, and her father is bedridden. And he calls the rest of his daughters home, and they'll arrive. Some of them are not in the best shape. You've got Freddie, who's an alcoholic and a drug addict. And what was her name? And Joanna, who had been through several marriages before just skipping the whole ceremony and just sleeping with men. And of course, you've got Chris, who is just starting graduate school. And they are all called together by the father because he believes that his wife is poisoning him. Her first husband had died of poisoning, but she was exonerated of it, although they all believed in the town that she had poisoned him. But it was declared a suicide. He was ill at the time. And so their father is convinced that his wife is doing the same thing to him. And so he wants them to kill her. Nice. But they're not too keen on that idea. So it's dinner time, and the dinner is a strained affair.
You sound like you've been married. More than once. But then I always had Alex to run home to when things got crazy. So I never had to resort to murder. Well, nor have I.
I love that lightning strike right after that line. That is perfect. After dinner, they go to check on Freddie, who has, in a drunken stupor, cut herself in the attic looking at their mother's portrait. Turns out they all blame their father for their mother's suicide. He had been having an affair with Elizabeth at the time and was flaunting it, and that's why she killed herself, and they blame him. After this little display, Joanna's decided she's not going to stay. She doesn't care about any of this. She goes to borrow the car and heads out to the garage where she ends up not leaving. The next day, being a wet and rainy Christmas, the hunky young doctor shows up, who Chris actually had a crush on back in the high school days when he was a college student. And although he's there to check on the father, he really had another reason for coming.
Ted. Oh, it's lovely.
He didn't like that position. After they flirt with each other for a little bit, her father does not allow the doctor to come see him. And he's got other calls to make. You know, he's a doctor. You don't get to take Christmas off. So he leaves. And then we get some suspicious cliches that always happen in a good mystery.
Sleeping tonight. Would you like some of this?
What is it?
Warm milk and honey. I made some for your father earlier. But I don't suppose your sister allowed him to drink it.
So the phone's dead. And the stepmother is making a concoction in the kitchen. I'm sure that that drink will not come back into play in any way. Later that night, Freddie picks the wrong time to pass out in the tub. And unfortunately, Chris is the one that makes the discovery. And then that suspicious concoction of milk and honey rears itself again.
Were you in her room last night?
Yes.
Why?
Her crying disturbed me. I brought her something to help her get some sleep, milk and honey.
And she drank it?
You mean after you'd warned her about me?
Turns out Elizabeth drank it herself, so she says. But when Alex goes to check, the mug that was supposed to be at Elizabeth's bedside table isn't there. Well, Alex and her father are convinced Elizabeth killed Freddie. With the phones out, Chris decides she's going to cut across country, go to their old housekeeper's house. She's ill, but her phone might be working. So she bundles up and heads out into the woods. Yep, after a very first hour of talkiness, we're getting some action. Chris, unable to get to the old housekeeper's place, makes her way back to the house and makes a horrible discovery. Yep, it's Joanne. Well, looks like there's more than one killer here tonight. Well, Chris is now convinced Elizabeth is the killer, and she runs in the house where she finds Elizabeth is outside and she locks the door. But these old houses, they have things like root cellars, so Elizabeth gets back in. And then we get a very suspenseful chase, kinda, through the house. Where is Elizabeth the killer? Is she trying to kill Chris? Or is Chris just hysterical? But they go back and forth, and then Chris makes another discovery.
Father, he's dead.
Anybody left in this family by this point. But Chris makes good her escape. And then out on the road, looks like she's about to be rescued.
Help me! Please help me! Alex! Alex, Father's dead, and she killed Joe. I ran to the house. I was looking for you, and she chased me, and I found Father. I managed to get out of the house. I just ran.
Ah, but things are not what they seem.
She wouldn't have killed you, Chris. She didn't kill Joe. She didn't kill Freddie. She didn't kill Father.
Yeah, seems Alex, being the eldest, has been the one everybody depended on, even their father. Anytime there was a problem, turn to Alex. Anytime he needed something, turn to Alex. And she's just tired of it. And it's not like she can just run away and not answer the call. She can't. It'd tug at her, and they would hound her. So the only solution for her to be free is to kill everybody and frame Elizabeth for it. And there's only one thing left to do. Fortunately, before she can go down to check, a car comes by. Turns out it's the doctor. Seeing her, he stops, and so Alex does the waterworks, says Chris is down there, Elizabeth is killing everyone, and so the doctor sends Alex to go get the sheriff, and he goes down to check on Chris. When Alex returns with the sheriff, Chris is dead. The doctors put her in the room, and Chris goes to give her last respects. And we have one twist left. It was all a ruse by Chris and the doc to trick Alex Why, I don't know, but it makes for a great moment, for the climax of the film. Then after Alex is taken away, we end the film on a bit of a happy note.
Take care of her.
I will.
And a bit of irony. The last shot we have is of Elizabeth closing the door of the house. Because during the first part of the film, when there was a lot of back and forth about whether Elizabeth is killing her father or not, and what would the motive be, they've come to the conclusion she wants the house. Because it's about the most valuable thing the father has. Because they would get all the money, but she would get the house, and she has the house now. This is a nifty little thriller. You'd be surprised how some of these old 70s TV movies just work. Even the talkiness of it isn't a detriment, because there's so much tension and suspense going through this. I mean, is the father just a little crazy? Is he senile? What's going on? Why does he think she's trying to kill him? And Julie Harris is great at being kind of acting suspicious while seeming to be innocent. In fact, all the acting's good. Jessica Walter is, she doesn't have a lot of screen time, but what she does, she is so heart-wrenchingly vulnerable. Usually half drunk, and just obviously someone who has been broken. She's never gotten over the mother's death. And, of course, forgot her name. I keep doing this. Where's my notes? No, that's it. Yes. Eleanor Parker. She's really good as Alex. She seems to be that rock that everybody depends on. And you don't really get that she could be the killer until the very end, because she just seems so steady. And of course, Walter Brennan. Academy Award winning Walter Brennan. He's only in about 3 or 4 scenes, but man, he nails it. And of course, we also have Jo Haworth. She's not given much of a character, but she supplies a bit of snarkiness that really carries through. And of course, Sally Field. Pre-Smokey and the Bandit, pre-Norma Ray. But she is basically the star of this. She's the audience focal point, the one we all root for, and she is just excellent in the role. And it's a good suspense film with some good chases, neat little cat and mouse between Julie Harris and Sally Field towards the end, and that great reveal. And Eleanor Parker really sells the ending when she's explaining why she has to kill everybody. So just a perfect little thriller. Not too graphic, so it's family fun. But yeah, as a Christmas thriller goes, it's pretty good. Please hit like, share, and subscribe, and stay after the credits for my favorite scene.
Father.